You know dodging? You know that one thing you do with the arrow keys and C6 to make sure you don't get hit? Yeah, let's not do that. Welcome back to Limits of Procrastination, where I prefer to play games the slow way instead of the fast way. And we're coming back to Deltarune, where this time, we're trying to beat the entire chapter while getting our recruits without dodging even once. Now, not the first to try beating Deltarune Chapter 3 without dodging. I'm specifically mentioning Dark Vian's Can You Beat Deltarune Without Dodging video here, where they attempted all 4 chapters without dodging, but they did not get all recruits. Instead, they chose to fight to get that succulent HP and sweet extra defense from attacking enemies. I'm also mentioning Space Bats Can You Beat Deltarune Chapter 3 Without Moving the Soul in Battles video, in where they did attempt to do this while getting all recruits, but were done in by RK. No, the stronger RK. Not better. So here's my attempt to see if I can beat the entirety of Chapter 3 without dodging once in turn-based battles. Now, I will be borrowing Space Bat's rule set, where I had to start from a fresh save in Chapter 3. The no dodging rule only applies while the soul is visible, which means I am allowed to move it while aiming and during Tenna's minigames, but I will limit myself to moving as little as possible during those. And I'll be taking the optional challenge of I must recruit all Darkeners in Chapter 3. And with that, let's begin a fresh save in Chapter 3. Now, the first thing that comes up during this run is if we open our menu, we have $0, 0 items, and our only equipments are Amber cards and Glow Wrist. That's just to give you an idea of my defense will look like during the first 3 battles. Starting with these 2 Shadow Guys. Now, while playing, I made a mistake of dancing on both of them on the first turn, while the smarter play would have actually been to defend with Chris, dance with Susie, and pacify with Ruleset during that first turn. But even with this mistake, we managed to pacify with an A rank. Later on, I encountered the 3 Shadow Guys around here, and again, I made the mistake of pacifying them one by one. And well, that caused a lot of damage, but we still left an A rank. After some healing, I did the El Nino and La Nino fight. Now Tenna says that we must say I love TV 99 times to get through this part, but we can get away by just saying I love TV once and defending for the rest of the battle, while also sneaking some heal prayers within. And it doesn't really become a problem until the couple starts fighting, in which they start attacking the middle more often. First, the one that you favored will start attacking the middle more often, and their attacks will also not cancel each other. Then for turns 2 and 3 of this phase, whoever you made jealous will start attacking the middle much more often, while the one you favored will actually avoid you completely. Now, the final attack is also a bit lengthy, but if we have everyone defend while having high enough HP, it shouldn't be a problem. And with the weather duo defeated, we're actually going to head to the right first and start grinding, so we have at least 1,500 points. I'm actually going to grind until a little more, but just know that's what I'm doing between now and the next cut. And now for the cooking show. As mentioned at the start, minigames are going to be treated as normal, but I'm going to try to minimize how much I move. In this case, I'm not going to be using any of the arrow keys or the seek stick to move around, and only dodge by jumping. Because if we didn't jump at all, we're pretty much guaranteed to lose. So, here's just some sped up footage of me just going through here, jumping whenever possible. I'm tossing combos at Olina and Lanina. But with that little toss at the end, we're able to get enough to get a C rank for the cooking minigame. Sadly, ATC is not enough to get an S rank by its own, but it might have been if I took out the additional keys you could have gotten in round 1. But it's fine. I felt like I wasn't gonna get the S rank out of the way, so that's why I prepared these 1,500 points, so I can give this to this unsuspicious Pippin, who says, "Alright, you want an S? An S? Okay, give me a sec. This is an S. This is an S, right? Yeah, actually, it looks better than normal. Anyway, they'll let you in with this, pretty sure. Good luck, heh." That S they gave us must have been so wonderful. Wish we could see it. So with this new S, we get to the Sapper, who says, What's that? You got proof on the S rank right there? Did this S always look this cool and angular? I guess it seems like something Tenna would do. Alright, come in. Counterfeit S rank was used up. Hey, but it ain't the only thing that's gonna be used up, if you know what I'm saying. So we're coming into the S rank room for 2 reasons. The biggest reason why we come here is actually for this vending machine, where we can exchange our dark dollars for points. And you may be wondering to yourself, why do we need to exchange dark dollars to points? Sure, we got some extra cash from those battles, but does it really matter? And I say yes. You see, because of this exchange rates you see here, we actually have 3 different values we can get for our points. The 50 to 10 points becomes 5 dark dollars per point. The 250 for 60 points becomes $4.16 for each point. And the $1,000 to 250 points becomes $4 for 1 point. Now, how does this actually matter? We can also buy in this vending machine TV slot for only 20 points. And in the room with the ABC rooms, we're able to sell that TV slot for 90 dark dollars. Now, 90 dark dollars at an exchange rate of $4 per point gives us 22.5 points. For every TV slot we buy, we gain a bonus of 2.5 points once we sell it back. And this is what I basically do over and over again until I have enough points. How many points is enough? Well, that's all up to luck, and by luck I mean the ball game. You see, the ball game holds the best defense item we can get for this challenge. This item being the Tenna tie, which gives a lot of defense at the cost of some magic. I also got some ginger guards for the whole party, and they've faced off against the hardest battle so far, being Water Cooler. Now, since Water Cooler's attacks mostly aim for the middle, I knew this was going to be brutal. On my first attempt, I only managed to get up to 83%, which actually is pretty close, but not enough, before being surrounded by water droplets to my defeat. Next attempt, however, I got much luckier and much better at my healing. Once it started expanding, I took a lot of damage from the center, but not enough to defeat us, so with a simple spare, the battle was done. And why not snatch an extra 200 points for ourselves? The other reason why we wanted the S rank weapon is for the sword game, which, for all intents and purposes, does not count as a battle for this case, meaning we're free to get the Shadow Mantle later on. And our next battle is with these 3 Pippins who Susie forces us to fight while she's taking controls of the game. For this battle, I simply chose to use Bribe as many times as I could, as that immediately gets rid of 1 Pippin. And technically you could do this no hit while also doing no dodges if you get lucky with the rolls. However, I did not get lucky with the rolls. And now our next mid-boss is Shutta, technically, as Shadow is actually just a regular enemy in disguise of a boss, so much so that, well, not actually a glitch, but more of an oversight, you can actually finish this battle quickly by just keep staring, as I'll give a flat 10% per person using spare. This will award us with a B rank, but we can make up this loss by doing the lawnmower minigame to get some additional 450 points, and then also music minigame, because during the music minigame we're allowed to just use Z and X to get our full score. This gives us an easy S, meaning we can use our additional points to buy some additional deluxe dinners, which are the best healing items we can have at this point. We finish the second part of the sword game and get past this zapper by just pushing his buttons twice in a row. Now, Tenna's takeover does force us to move around to aim our sharpshoot, since he doesn't actually get in the way of our attack, but since this is basically just another minigame, it's allowed. And now on to Ribic, who may just be the toughest battle yet. Just thinking, stronger versions of an attack that already got stronger back in Undertale? I just wonder how we're gonna get past— oh, and we finished off before he even can attack. And also while in TV World, I had to face through the cowboy minigame twice. However, without moving, this is still fairly easy because they do percentage raise damage, which is basically a free win for us. Then I faced off against two zappers where all I did was gather enough TP so I could use the off button. Nothing much to see here. And now for the hardest part of this challenge, Rules Card. Now Rules Card is hard for a couple of reasons. First, he takes away our ability to use our items to heal. Second is once Elnina and Lanino join, they have a really long attack that just destroys your HP. Like, you see how long it is? I've been able to basically monologue during the entirety of their attack, and they're still not done yet. Also, unless you're at full HP, you're pretty much screwed unless you get lucky. Which I did not. This took so many attempts, so many broken heart after broken heart. One of these attempts I even got Chris down to 1 HP and I just didn't want to wait for this attack to end, so I just did it myself. Suddenly, this happened. Everyone was at low HP. When you're at low HP, you are actually given a heart to heal with, but it doesn't heal you to full. But after this point, I was really careful. I really want to make sure I boosted as little turns as possible. Got the lancers as soon as they came by. And I was close to them and reacted to them. And you can see how scared I was of missing that I just kept missing my chances, but still got them. So everyone at high HP, and this is the highest HP they actually started with, so I was a little hopeful here. But you can just see how many times did Lanino hit me during the first part and how much Elnina hits me during the second part. But this is the first time all three of our heroes were up while Rules Card pulls out his laser pointer. And once he starts with the moving of laser pointer, he immediately hits Ruleset and then Chris. But then delayed the attack. Ruleset goes down. Then Chris goes down, and right as he's about to go down left, the attack just ends in time. But now I'm at low health, ready to basically lose in one hit, so I use the falling heart to heal. But knowing how long the attack is, it just doesn't seem likely that I'll survive. But this is the first time I've been this far, and Wolves immediately pulls out the laser pointer. And you can see he goes through the center quite a few times, but the attack is way shorter than before. So I take advantage to heal again, but something strange happens. This time Rousey comes up on the same turn after being revived. Don't know why that happened, but not gonna complain. So now, victory is basically guaranteed. If you've been paying attention to how much mercy I've been getting on this score, you'd notice I'd be at 85% and would get away with just spamming act for this turn. I, at the time, had my nerves clogging my thought process and still thought I had to get all the spades. But I got lucky and did so anyways. And finally got through this fight. And then off to we ran. And for this I just moved around because, as mentioned earlier, the soul is not visible, so we're allowed to move. So we're free to just do this battle as regular and take the Shadow Mantle. And off to the second toughest fight in this run. Tenna. Now we took the Shadow Mantle because it actually guards us against his star attempt. It didn't help me during his first rim shot, and well, we didn't even reach 200 points. On my second attempt, I actually did manage to reach 1000 points, but ran out of healing items. But Chris did have the Shadow Mantle, and Shadow Mantle also blocks against Tenna's minigame. And here I'm going to mention how I dealt with the minigame. Music minigame was fine, no need to change here. Both versions of the cowboy game, however, if Tenna attacked from the center, I could take him down, but if he didn't, I just had to take the damage. And then if Tenna attacked the center, I was guaranteed to get hit. During the sharpshooter ones, I was only able to hit them if they were at the point of where my reticle was. You can also see here where the reticle is actually in a different position every time the channel switches. During the cookie minigame, I'm allowed to jump, but no horizontal movement whatsoever. Then eventually, after enough channel surfing, we reached channel 21. And you can see we only take 4 damage per hit here. And it's all luck based because Tenna does actually go through the center a few times. But I just ended up taking way too much damage and ran out of health. But then, on my third attempt, I reached 1000 points again, reached the last part with both Susie and Chris alive. And I just kept shooting over and over. This time we have 2 characters alive, we must win. However, the damage hits everyone equally. And it doesn't split the health between them, but rather just damages them as much as they can. But Susie is surviving, down to 11 health, and Tenna has less than a quarter of his health left. Here we're at 7 health, 3 health, and just one last volley and we're losing. What, you thought I was just going to show you a winning victory after a close call? This time I decided to put the Shadow Mantle on Susie, thinking this would give us a better shot. Ended up being the worst idea I had because we didn't reach 200 points because while both minigames and Tenna's attacks had a high damage ratio for us, if we got music minigame or the cookie minigame, we could basically nullify all damage for that turn. And if Chris kept going down, I couldn't do minigames at all, so immediately took the Shadow Mantle off Susie and put it back on Chris. And then, once and for all, I managed to reach 1000 points with everyone up. Well, 953 points at this point. So I looked to Chris, use a deluxe dinner from Susie to Chris, and killed Susie with Heal Prayer. With all of this combined, Chris and Susie now start the next phase with a ton of health. And we start off with the music game, which again, we just play as normal. During the umbrella, we can't move at all because our soul is there. Tenna hits us once, taking Rousey out. Got lucky with the sharpshoot. minigame. Didn't get lucky with the cowboy minigame, but got lucky with both sharpshoot and cookie minigame. Then the reverse style of the cowboy game happened, but we got lucky with the following umbrella game. Got unlucky with our sharpshoot location twice in a row, with a simple cookie minigame in between. The weather minigame luckily evaded us, and a few more hits after we reached channel 21. The final stand, with both Chris and Susie alive with us. A lot more health than last time. But is it enough? Did I just show you all of that just to fail one more time right at the end? Or is this one actually enough to finally win? We shoot. Tenna's at half HP, Chris is at 21. He hits it with a slow moving big star, but then his attack starts speeding up. He's at low health, so are Chris and Susie. Susie's at 1 hit left, Chris is at 3. And finally, we are done with this chapter. I hope nothing comes in and ruins that. Anyway, here is the Roaring Knight to ruin that. So, am I going to be able to beat Roaring Knight without dodging? The answer is a simple no. Sure, the first attack doesn't defeat us instantly, but if you can survive the second attack without dodging, I have to believe that you're using some sort of cheats. And with that, we have finished chapter 3, while getting all recruits and doing no dodging. It was a difficult path, but we got there. I will say that this is slightly different from what I normally do on this channel, but it was a fun challenge overall. And I might decide on doing the same thing for chapter 4, because that also hasn't been done, all recruits no dodging yet. But we'll just have to wait and see for that. Otherwise, if you enjoyed watching this video and watching glitches and challenges of your favorite games probably, feel free to like and subscribe, and comment below if you really thought that Rules card was actually going to be the hardest fight for this chapter. Anyways, I hope to see you next time for whatever I come up with next.